Leicester City 1, Chelsea 2, and I think I'm finally ready to admit that I was wrong about Chelsea Football Club, because after the departure of Maurizio Pochettino, I felt like Chelsea were just going to have too many problems to cope with this season, and that it would be unfair to expect Enzo Maresca to come in and immediately revolutionize this Chelsea team. And boy, was I wrong, because despite the fact that the scoreline doesn't really seem to be that big of a deal, especially considering how bad Leicester are, if you watch the game, you know that scoreline doesn't really do Chelsea justice. Yes, Leicester City started to creep back into the game in the second half, but there was never any real tangible threats in my opinion. There was never any doubt in my mind that Chelsea were going to win that game, because they were just so poised and controlled today, as they have been for a lot of the season. And I tell you what, in terms of individual performances, there's a lot of positives to take away today. I think the only player that I look at with a bombastic side eye is probably Noni Madueke, because I don't think he's been that good. And he's a player that I've stuck up for. You know, as a rival fan, I've stuck up for Noni Madueke and said that this kid has got some talent, and I actually believe in him in the past. But recently, I don't know, man. These performances that he's putting in is making me change my mind. But let's move away from him. The positive performances, Shield today. I thought he was really good for Chelsea. I thought he was really solid at the back, albeit against Leicester City, and they didn't really provide that many tangible threats. But when they did, he dealt with it really well. And I've never really said that about a Chelsea central defender this season, because regardless of what the scoreline is, regardless of how well or how poorly Chelsea have performed, my most consistent thing in match reactions talking about Chelsea games has been that their defense, particularly that back three, the goalkeeper and the two centre-backs, have not been good this season, regardless of who's been playing, whether it's Colwell, whether it's Fofana, whether it's Shield, whether it's the boy Disasi. It doesn't matter who plays in the back two for Chelsea. I've always been very critical until today. I think Shield was really, really decent today. Mark Cucurella, he was another one that I thought really had a pretty decent game today. Fofana, I thought he went under the radar as well, kind of just did his job, nothing too spectacular, but didn't make any glaring mistakes that I can remember. The midfield, I thought was really good for Chelsea today. I thought Caicedo, solid as per usual. But Enzo Fernandez, a player who's come under a lot of fire because obviously his price tag and all the hype of that World Cup performance and that 6-month stint at Benfica, he hasn't really lived up to it in a Chelsea shirt, if we're being completely honest. He's lacked that consistency. Enzo's had a few good games here and there, but he hasn't really had a proper patch of games where you can say, okay, here's 10 games, here's 15 games, where he's been consistently 8 out of 10, week in, week out. Today, that wasn't the case. He was actually really good today. 2 goal involvements, I believe 3 key passes played, 1 big chance created as well. He was just such a productive player for Chelsea today. Another player I was really impressed with is João Felix, a player that I've liked for a very long time, and seeing him at Chelsea, it absolutely hurts my soul, because he's one of those players that I've always wanted Manchester United to sign. And he really is my type of footballer. He is so sulky and pleasing on the eye to watch when he plays well. And today was one of those performances where he just kept the ball ticking, he kept it moving, and he kept creating opportunities for Chelsea. Not direct opportunities that led to goal-scoring opportunities, but he was the man playing the pass before the assist. He was the man playing the pass before the cross into the box for the goal. You know, not that there was any goals that came from crosses today, but you know what I mean. He was really good today. Nico Jackson, another one. I think his confidence as a Chelsea player is getting better week in, week out. Nico Jackson's development has been interesting to see, because I don't think a lot of rival fans actually understand how good Nico Jackson has been for Chelsea. I think it's gone under the radar. One of the biggest criticisms of Jackson last season was that he wasn't getting enough GA. But if you look over the last 12 months, there aren't many players in the Premier League who've actually had more GA or more goal involvements than Nicolas Jackson. He's actually been pretty decent in that department, coupled with his hold-up play, coupled with his overall contributions to the team, and how good he's been. I don't know, man. I think Nico Jackson deserves a lot of apologies, or at least he will soon if he keeps up this form. He's been another player who's gone under the radar. I don't hear enough rival fans talking about it. I hear Chelsea fans, to be fair, but rivals aren't giving Nico Jackson the respect he deserves. So shout out to him. I thought he was really good. Apart from them, not really much else to talk about. Cole Palmer, quiet game. Not a bad game, not a terrible game, just a quiet game. And by Cole Palmer's standards, very, very quiet, actually. Pretty disappointing performance by him. Wasn't the worst in the attack. I think that award comfortably goes to Noni Madueke. So many opportunities where he had his fullback completely isolated and he's either running the ball out of play, running himself into a blind alley, cutting in and shooting, but not being able to hit the target, and not really being a productive member of the attack today. So I think he was comfortably Chelsea's worst attacker. But a close second would be Cole Palmer. He wasn't really good today, man. And I'm a big fan of Cole Palmer. I will always stick up for Cole Palmer. I will not tolerate any Cole Palmer slander on my channel. But today, if we're keeping it a stack, he hasn't been good. He really hasn't been good. And maybe those people who said that there would be a massive drop-off in season 2 for Cole Palmer because of just how well he performed last season, maybe those people were onto something, and maybe those people don't deserve as much heat as they've been getting on the socials. You know, lots of people, especially rival fans, have said that Cole Palmer won't be able to sustain the levels from last season, and there will be a natural drop-off. Not because Palmer's a bad player, not because they don't rate Cole Palmer, but just because, you know, it is what it is. It's very hard to maintain those levels, and they got a lot of heat for that. I too was one of the people giving them heat, saying, how could you say that? This guy's one of the best in the world. Hasn't been that good today. And he hasn't been that good in a couple of games for Chelsea now. So Cole Palmer, man, he needs to start stepping up again. I'm by no means saying that he's a bad player. Again, if you watch my content, you know I rate Cole Palmer very highly. But we got to be honest, he hasn't been that good today. Apart from that, there's not really much else to talk about. Leicester are awful. That was a terrible performance at home. Chelsea comfortably looked like the home team. And I know that Leicester obviously are never going to go toe-to-toe with Chelsea, but there's a way to lose a football match. And the way that Leicester lost today was absolutely disgraceful. Steve Cooper, man, he's got to sort it out. You know, he's got to sort it out. You're never winning this game, but at least put up a fight. You're at home, for crying out loud. That was an awful, awful performance from Leicester City. Otherwise, it's been your boy Triple M. Chelsea looking comfortable in the top 4. Who would have thought? I certainly wouldn't have, man. I'm eating the humble pie with Chelsea, to be honest. They're one of the best teams to watch in the league at the moment in terms of their style of play, and just in terms of just not really expecting them to perform this well. They're one of the most enticing teams this season as a rival, right? As a neutral watching Chelsea every week. They're one of the teams that I'm invested in as a football fan because I just didn't expect them to be this good. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And as usual, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. Until next time, adios.